everybody. Oh, thank you, Alberto. That's so generous of you. We made it 3 live streams for this week. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, but I had a lot of pictures to upload. Hey, Danny. And a surprisingly juicy stream. There is a lot going on. Of course, all of it overshadowed, as it should be, by the tragic passing of Gene Hackman. That's a developing story. He made it to 95. I'm going to watch a Gene Hackman movie tonight in honor of him. He is, an incredible run as an actor. Welcome back, David. Thank you, Garnet Fire. Thank you all. Yes, of course, Michelle Trachtenberg yesterday as well. And Gene Hackman's wife and one of his dogs died as well. As I said, that's a developing story. I can turn the volume up a little bit. There, that's as high as the volume can go on my end. Okay, so let's get started. We have 3 very important things to discuss. And then, of course, as always, at the end of the stream, you can ask me anything that you would like. So the first story actually is a holdover from late in the day on Tuesday. Hey, G17. I believe the story broke while we were on Tuesday's live, and I promised I would cover it. So let's see. Hold on. All right, so story number 1. Here we go. It's a juicy one. All right, story number 1. Boop. Oh, poor Wonder Woman. She just can't catch a break. And it's weird. So this is, Wonder Woman is part of a bigger story. So Warner Brothers Games is having a little bit of a difficult time. They had their earnings call this morning. They have turned a profit to some degree. I think they're still not totally out of the woodwork, but you can tell that Warner Brothers is still, they just brought in someone to specifically work on the marketing for Superman alone. They're doing things a little bit different, and we'll see how it works out for them. And one of the things that they did on Tuesday was they announced, the story was broken and they confirmed it, that they're shutting down 3 of the divisions that are underneath the umbrella that is Warner Brothers Games. They're very unhappy with Warner Brothers Games. They've had 2, the Harry Potter game was a big hit that came out at this point a few years ago. But Multiverses started out really strong, but many of you have pointed out that they just killed it with microtransactions. A lot of purchases that were requested within the game, and that thing just fell apart. And then, of course, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League not only wasn't particularly well received as a game, but I think fell victim to some of the toxicity that you're seeing in the fan space right now. So it was just unfortunately a perfect storm around that game. Like, people didn't just not enjoy Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. They wanted that game to be a huge, colossal failure. And they succeeded in creating that scenario. So they're trying to fix the gaming division, where they had been doing very well. They've been doing, the gaming division had been doing quite well for a while. So this is a weird space for them to be stuck in. They got rid of the head of their gaming division, who had been the head of the gaming division for over a decade, I believe. And I do not think that they have, I don't think they've hired somebody to replace him just yet. But because they got rid of Monolith Games, that's this company right here, Monolith Games, because that's one of the ones that was shut down. That's why the Wonder Woman game was canceled, because it was a part of what that division was working on. And I saw a couple of updates today that, most of the creatives at Monolith had left because it wasn't a great working environment, et cetera, et cetera. I think it seems like they have too many divisions, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a gamer, but from a corporate perspective, I think there really shouldn't be this. I mean, I guess, the idea is that every division works on a new game. But it's every industry is suffering right now. For instance, Marvel Rivals, we're going to talk about them in a moment, but everybody said Marvel Rivals, huge hit, but then it was announced that a number of the people who worked on that game, because they're no longer needed now that the game is launched, have been let go. So it's video games, yet another space where AI and technology and the economy, et cetera, it's really scary. A lot of people are entering the job market right now, and I don't think there were a lot of jobs to begin with when you look at, not only what's happening in the entertainment space, but what's happening also in the federal government. There's just it's a very scary time. So Warner Brothers, but the big headline was that they shut down this Wonder Woman game because that was what a lot of people were looking forward to. Now, Warner Brothers, in their statement, said that they're going to prioritize very specific franchises that they feel are their future for the studio. They name-checked Harry Potter. Obviously, the Harry Potter game was very successful for them. They're getting ready to launch a retelling of the show as an HBO series. Of the books as an HBO series. John Lithgow has said that he has said yes to playing Dumbledore, although I looked into it, and apparently he has not signed his contract yet. But we'll see. We'll see if anything gets in the way of that deal. Not too many people are excited about that, though, which makes me a little bit concerned as to how that show is going to go over. It didn't really make quite the headlines that you would maybe anticipate. All right, so anyway, Harry Potter. But Harry Potter, they're big invested in Harry Potter. Very successful video game. Theme parks, they're getting ready to open the third Harry Potter-themed distinct land this summer. Big deal. Then they also said Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has a second film. The reason I'm doing movie posters is because clearly Warner Brothers is focusing on franchises that they can use across their space. Synergy is the name of the game. Disney is one of the pioneers of synergy, and all the other studios are really trying to follow suit. So Mortal Kombat, they're still very much in the Mortal Kombat business. Some of you pointed out that Mortal Kombat 1 hasn't been as well received, the new version of the game that came out last year. But still, clearly Warner Brothers feels very good about this franchise overall. Then they also said Game of Thrones, aka House of the Dragon. They haven't had a game for this yet, but that clearly shows that they really want a game. So I think House of the Dragon, you should probably expect some kind of video game. They also have the miniseries coming out this summer. I think it's this summer, Duncan and Egg or whatever, Night of Seven Kingdoms. So they're really trying to see if they can make Game of Thrones work. The fact that they were able to bounce back from season 8 of Game of Thrones, that's pretty impressive. And then they did say DC, even though Wonder Woman is a DC property. So you're like, what? That's DC. That's DC. And it was interesting because James Gunn at that press conference the other day, all right, he was asked if he would be open to a Marvel Rivals, something like that for DC. And he said he would be. But I'm like, dude, that's Injustice, as some of you pointed out. Injustice is an extremely popular game. Not only is it a popular video game, but it even crosses over into the mainstream with its trailer drops. Really impressive trailer drops. Injustice 2, that's how I got into NetherRealm games. It's just an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly popular game. And hopefully Injustice 3 is coming soon. But that's their answer to Rivals. They already have it. And they don't need to work on their own version. Present Progressive says it's a different style game. But I wonder how many DC games the space could take. You'd obviously have to space them out. So we'll see, but this is, kind of like where Warner Brothers Games is heading. In this space. So we'll see we'll see. Okay. So then let's talk about this Wonder Woman game. Let me close these things here. Do I think that a Wonder Woman game would have been successful? Well, here is some really beautiful concept art. Although, not always does the game look like the concept art, but let me give you I'll be right back. Here's a really nice image of the concept art. Okay. You've got Wonder Woman there facing off against her rogues gallery. For those of you who are familiar with Wonder Woman's rogues gallery, I can spot the cheetah, obviously. Circe's there in the background. It looks good. And then you can see the mascara, and it looks really nice. It looks good, okay? However, though, I have to say to you that I don't really know about the viability of a Wonder Woman game, particularly in today's marketplace, where it's such a female-centric game that although I'm not sure how female-centric games perform in the space. It looks like it would, it looks very, very comics accurate, but I'm not sure, especially with no movie pushing it, I'm not sure how a Wonder Woman game all the way on its own would do. I think Wonder Woman would do great in, somebody else's game maybe, But I mean, I can understand some of Warner Brothers perhaps hesitation. For instance, Wonder Woman was a member of Injustice 2, the most recent version of the game, but it didn't do particularly well. I mean, she was not particularly popular within the game. Because I don't think she was particularly well designed, to be honest with you. Wonder Woman's a very hard character to get right. Wonder Woman's an extremely difficult character to get right. And also, I think Wonder Woman stories are hard to tell without going into the LGBTQ space. Not only is there no other explanation for life on Themyscira, I mean, it's all women living on an island for centuries. I mean, it's pretty clear. I don't think that you can avoid that. And also, Wonder Woman has an extremely strong LGBTQ fan base, who, of course, would expect to see that representation because they are in large part responsible for the success of the character over the years. So maybe Warner Brothers is worried about that. But, I think that this looks like a cool game to me, but I don't know how many people would buy the game and want to play the game. That's my somewhat concern about the Wonder Woman game. I mean, it looks really cool, but I'm not sure. I mean, I have a little bit of a concern it would go the way of Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. I'd be a little nervous about that. I'd be a little scared about that. I mean, I think they're very nervous about that happening again. As they should be. That was very, very bad for them. That game was dead before it even came out. All right. Nobody even wanted to give that game a chance. I mean, it was an Elseworlds game. I mean, I thought I was fine with it. All right. I mean, I know they took out the heroes, but the heroes were infected by Brainiac. Whatever. All right. So, what's going on with Wonder Woman over in DC? I think that's a big question, right? So Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie was obviously hugely successful. It made Gal Gadot a movie star and a household name. It's the only comic book movie that has managed to bring in more women, 55% to 45% than men. Usually it's reversed. And it was just, a very successful film and was really doing very, very well. But then, of course, Patty Jenkins infamously drank her own Kool-Aid and destroyed it with Wonder Woman 2. She kicked off all of Zack Snyder's contributors, insisting that she could do it herself along with Jeff Johns, and this is the film that we got. I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think Wonder Woman 1984 was bad enough to kill Wonder Woman, but it was. It's just too bad. It's a shame. I mean, and also, of course, Gal Gadot, I think it called into question her acting ability, I mean, even I was like, I'm having a hard time defending it. But then also, Gal Gadot has run into some political elements. And, I think she got involved in politics with, that Imagine song. It's tough. But I don't think I would think Wonder Woman, I would hope it would still be viable. But clearly, Warner Brothers does not agree. So that's too bad. So anyway, yeah. So we'll see what they decide to do. But the game looked cool to me, but I'm not quite sure how successful it would have been. So what do you guys think? Do you have any, that's my thoughts on it. I don't see a lot of respect on Wonder Woman's name over at DC Studios these days, but that's not like they're not approaching some female characters. I think they might be finding themselves in a difficult position because of the current political landscape and stuff like that. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on over there. So what do you guys think? Tony, Margaret Qualley? I don't think Margaret Qualley is a good choice. Wanda's attorney says it feels like the Batgirl situation. That's an interesting comparison. I think that, obviously we'll never get to see the Batgirl movie, Margaret Qualley, I don't think is a good mix. I'm glad you guys like The Substance so much, but I wouldn't put her in DC. President Progressive says, as an avid gamer since the 90s, I have to say to non-gamers that after the initial hype of Marvel Rivals, it has shown to be quite problematic in terms of its game mechanics. Oh, and the Chinese developer. Well, people are still talking about it. We'll see if they can keep the game going. But we'll see what they decide to do. Official Liam, that's a good point. We're going to have 2 Batmen, but not even a single Wonder Woman. Hey, Armin. Sockley says, personally, I feel Wonder Woman was the best movie in the DCEU in spite of Gal Gadot's bad acting. Yeah, I think the first Wonder Woman movie, I like the first Aquaman movie too, but the first Wonder Woman movie was excellent, and I thought that in that film they did a good job. I wouldn't so much say hiding Gal Gadot's acting, but understanding what she was capable of, and I think looking out for her best interests and the movie's best interests. I think that some of her line readings worked because she was from Themyscira and she was like this person who had never been to man's world and stuff like that. That's right, Garnet Fire. The Wonder Woman theme is incredible. When I got to see, Hans Zimmer in concert, he did a couple of bars from that, and you instantly know it, and it's fantastic. Allegedly, Danny says Warner Brothers is holding hostage patented tech from a different game that was supposed to be used in Wonder Woman. Non-Wonder Woman fans are upset about the game dying for this reason. Well, let's see what they decide to do. I don't think, if it's valuable, I don't think they'll sit on it. They might sell it, or they'll use it on a different game. MM92 says, hi, Grace. This may be there's no dumb questions, but is James Gunn or Warner Brothers executives part of the planning and creative process of video games? I'm sure, I think they have some autonomy over in the game space, particularly for those game studios that have had successes. But I think that obviously they're at least consulted. I think I'm sure they have those discussions because obviously Warner Brothers is interested in company-wide synergy. So, they don't have a Superman game ready to go, but they're just getting started. So obviously, they would want James Gunn's input. They might say, I would think that, Zazie would decide what franchises were a priority to him, and he has decided that. Let's bring those up again. He has decided the franchises that are a priority to him. I think that directive goes down to each division head, and they're going to hire a new Warner Brothers Games division head. And then I think that they talk to each other. I think you obviously wouldn't make a DC video game without speaking to James Gunn. And I don't think you would make a Harry Potter game without speaking to J.K. Rowling and David Hayward, or Heyman, whatever his name is. And you wouldn't make a Mortal Kombat game, Ed Boon makes his own games, but he's very much involved in this new movie, the sequel. And then obviously if you're going to make House of the Dragon, you'd certainly talk to Ryan Condal and who's ever in charge over there. And maybe George R.R. Martin, although George R.R. Martin seems to like to sometimes stab Warner Brothers in the back. Hey, Say, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so that's how I think about it. That's my answer to that question. Way Harris says, I wonder if the current political landscape, if there's a parallel between Wonder Woman and Sam Wilson's Captain America. Well, I don't know. It depends. I think the Disney Plus element is a big part of what happened to Captain America. And Alex says, why would you have a Wonder Woman game before a Superman game? Well, obviously this was started to be developed a long time ago before James Gunn was even the head of DC Studios. And then Netherline says, a Superman game would make more sense in the likes of Arkham. I think Wonder Woman is too soon, especially after the bad taste the last film left with fans. Yeah, Wonder Woman's always been a little bit of a tough sell. I don't think Tom King's writing the comic now. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's not the greatest comic right now, but I still read it every month that it comes out. But, I think her animated movie did okay. I think Wonder Woman's always been a little bit of a tough sell. That's why the movie was so extraordinary, that it was so successful. Who's my favorite Wonder Woman villain, Fabio? Well, I like Giganta. I think Giganta's pretty cool. And I like Circe, but I liked Greg Rucka's current run on Wonder Woman. That's the run that I would want to adapt. I don't like the more, it's interesting to me, so many of you want to see DC go in a more comic booky direction, and that's why you really like what James Gunn is doing. But I don't like going in a more comic booky direction. I like the more real world approach to these characters, which is something, which is why I've always preferred DC. So to see DC comic book movies and adaptations, that's why I'm excited about Lanterns. I'm like, oh, it looks so real. We're going to talk about it. But some of you really want to see the more fantastical elements of that, and that makes me nervous. Antonio, I mean, I think James Gunn might have said he was thinking about it at some point, but it's clearly not anything that's happening anytime soon. Garnet Fire says if the Disney Plus thing was a major factor for how Cap 4 turned out, wouldn't the Themyscira show be a big factor for DCU Wonder Woman? I think it is. I'm a little worried about the effect of the Penguin show on Batman Part 2. I think that, it should be a big warning sign about what happened with Captain America. All right, let's move on to the next story. Okay. Did I miss your super chat, Sahib? Let me see. A Superman game could never work. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think it could work. I think Patty Jenkins is done, John Thrasher. I would be surprised if she ever worked on anything else again. She insists that she's going to, but I mean, never say never. But I'd be real surprised. Okay. Story number 2. Boop. Okay, so this afternoon or late this morning, they put out a Shrek 5 announcement. So let me get my arrow here. And so it had leaked that Zendaya was going to be a part of the cast, but now it's official. Shrek and Fiona had a daughter, and she looks like both of them. And Zendaya will be doing the voice of the character. So this was a little short that came out, and I don't think it went the way that Universal expected. Although some of you said maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Faye likes it. I kind of liked it too. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered other people. Although I will say that Fiona looks awful. But I think I almost feel like that's intentional. I almost feel like they put all the animation work into the daughter and then you were like, oh yeah, we got to animate Fiona. And why is she wearing like a long sleeve dress that looks like her skin color? I mean, I don't know. I don't like what they're doing to Fiona so much. She looks off size. She just looks the worst. Everybody else, I think if Fiona didn't look so bad, people think that Donkey looks different. He does look a little different. We're going to talk about it. It didn't bother me. I mean, it wasn't like some people are comparing it to Sonic. This is real, Dagai Tai. This is real life. That's hilarious. That's so funny. I mean, they updated The Incredibles, and I thought The Incredibles looked really good with the update, and nobody complained. But let's go through this in order of how things worked out. All right. So obviously, Zendaya, it's official. Zendaya will voice their daughter. I think she's a great choice, and I think I love Zendaya. I feel Zendaya can do no wrong. I think some people like to complain about Zendaya these days, and I hope Zendaya isn't paying them any attention because everybody has to deal with that kind of hate these days, and so who cares? But I'm really happy for her. I think she's great. I think, she's going to turn human at some point. I think you don't have Zendaya. Everybody wants to know what the human version will look like because obviously they had a human version of Shrek, and Fiona started out human. She turned into, if you have never watched Shrek, spoilers, she turned into an ogre. Then in Shrek 2, he became a human, and they had a great look for him. And so obviously everybody's going to want to see how they decide to do their daughter, right? And can she change at will, right? Is it just something that she can do, no magic required? But it'll be funny. I mean, I think it'll be interesting. But I think like from a casting perspective, they're in a really great space. Cameron Diaz just started her comeback with her Netflix movie, which was a huge hit, right? Oh, Bet, I don't know where their other kids are. They're only spotlighting this one. Maybe the other kids have already all moved out. We'll see what happens. That's right, they had a lot of kids in Shrek. I don't know where they all are, but they're only talking about this one. Thanks, Elpidio. Then Mike Myers, of course, made a slight, he started his comeback on SNL 50, where also Eddie Murphy was there in a major way. Eddie Murphy obviously did 2 sketches, this one in Black Jeopardy, and he was phenomenal. So I think the cast, this just seems very strong to me. And I think that Zendaya, you have the OGs, you have the all-time greats from the original movies, and I'm so glad that they're all coming back. But I think you need someone who makes it seem fresh, that reaches out to maybe viewers, audiences who aren't familiar with Shrek. I mean, who are those people? I mean, they're doing great on Netflix right now. I mean, I think the movie's extremely well positioned. But I think, Zendaya will be fantastic on the press tour. This is like putting Anya Taylor-Joy in Super Mario Brothers. It's just a really great choice. I'm not sure where Puss in Boots is. He has his own franchise now, but I'm sure I think for sure he'd have a cameo. All right, so the other thing that was interesting about it is they really kind of worked to modernize the brand right off the bat, and they had a TikTok joke. Where is it? Yeah, they had a TikTok joke, and they were going through the magic mirror like it was like TikTok, swiping through, and they had a lot of crazy things that had been done to Shrek. And the joke was, they're like, who's making this stuff? And it was Pinocchio, which we find out when his nose grows, when he says it wasn't him. And that's perfect for Pinocchio. He's that kind. Pinocchio is a freak, as we all know. He gets his freak on, as we all know from the Shrek movies. So I think it was hilarious that he was making those crazy things for TikTok. I thought it worked. I thought it was good. Also, they gave Zendaya's character a nose ring, which is being popularized these days by some really major stars. Florence Pugh, and then also Cynthia Erivo. Those are just two of the most recent actors to really to spotlight nose rings. So yeah, that's right. She might sing, Mike. She might sing. Zendaya might sing. So I think the character looks. I think they did a good job updating it. Although the internet did not totally agree. But the thing that the internet was distracted by the most was the new animation, which I don't think is that off. It is modernized, that's for sure. But everybody said, let's bully them like we bullied Sonic. Now, Shrek 5 comes out for right at Christmas, like December 23rd, 2026, which is very exciting. December 23rd, 2026. And so do they have enough time to potentially, this is computer animation. So I would think you could maybe swap out some of the models and it would just trickle through all the animation. It's not like you have to redraw anything. But, we'll see. I don't think it looks Sonic bad at all. Like, Sonic looked awful. Some people said it looked like the new Seven Dwarfs. I didn't think it looked like the new Seven Dwarfs. I thought it looked good, but people were making that comparison. Again, Donkey and Fiona I can kind of see being off a little bit, but I don't think it makes that look bad. I agree with Chico. I think this is an easy $1 billion. So as for my overall thoughts, I think it's a slam dunk. I think Christmas release for this franchise, which has been popular, it never really went away, because just on Movie Math on Sunday, Shrek was back on Netflix and it was dominating in the top 10. I think they have an amazing cast. This is just the main cast members. They're going to get a lot of cameos. It's just going to make so much money. And also, I have a lot of faith in it after how good Puss in Boots 2 was. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was a fantastic movie. And it was very funny, and I'm very, very excited about it. I think, like that, I agree with Alberto. Who's not going to see this? Who's going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to see Shrek? Like, it's like such a family movie. Everybody's going to go. What comes out in December? Let me see here. Let me see. December 2026. Jumanji 3 comes out at the beginning of the month. That gives it enough time. Ice Age 6. Oh, Ice Age 6 is dead. Oh, that's rough. Ice Age 6 is, they don't have I was wondering what Disney was going to put out, because Disney, hey Esteban, Disney does not have an Avatar or a Star Wars ready for 2026. So they went with Ice Age 6 instead. And they'll have to move. Shrek doesn't have to move. That's extremely aggressive on Universal's part, but I think warranted. It's going to do extremely well for sure. But yeah, so any questions or comments? Oh, by the way, I wanted to say this. I think that the new animation is inspired by Illumination. I think this is Illumination style animation. I think it's a little softer. I think it's to play with international, current global audiences. And it makes sense to me. Oh, see, Wanda's attorney agreed with me there. Noel, I'm sure Eugenio Derbez will return. I'm sure anybody who's available, they won't want to mess with the magic. Eugenio Derbez voices Shrek for, Donkey for Mexican audiences. Oh, Matthew, you wish Shrek 5 were in the style of Puss in Boots 2? Well, that was a little Spider-Verse-y, and I think that, didn't go over particularly well, it ended up doing well, but I think some people are somehow put off a little bit by that style of animation. Oh, Roberto doesn't like it. Well, I don't know. Hopefully, I really feel it would be hard for people not to go. Some of you really hate it. All right, let's do a poll, because I'm surprised. What do you think of new Shrek animation? Works for me. Need to get used to it. And then not a fan. And then at the end will be deal breaker. Like you're not going to go. By the way, anyone who's watching can vote in the poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in the poll. Hey, Ivan. Thanks for coming back. Welcome back. All right. Paul says, do you think this or Mario 2 will make more money? Well, it's not a competition. I think they're all going to be billion-dollar pictures. Once you join the billion-dollar club, it's all gravy. Danny, you don't like Shrek 2? I love Shrek 2. Shrek 2 is my favorite of the Shreks. And then Buck's Basement says, maybe it's just me, but the designs make sense considering it's been 12 years since the final movie was in theaters. Yeah, to me, this feels like they're just trying to make it more accessible to modern audiences. Elpidio said, isn't Zendaya doing a lot next year? Like 3 movies and now Euphoria as well. Wouldn't she end up being overexposed? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm sure she's very savvy. I'm sure her team is on top of it. And remember, a lot of the times, unfortunately, when Zendaya is in a movie, it's not her movie, right? She's very rarely the lead, which I wish would change. I hope that Zendaya starts getting lead roles. But she's not the lead here. She's not the lead in Dune. She's not the lead in Spider-Man. So I think it's a little different. We haven't really seen anything for this stuff yet, so I can't really tell if I feel like she's overexposed. Devin says, if Shrek does $1 billion, for sure, Epic Universe expansion into Shrekland. Oh, I would love a Shrekland. I would love a Happily Ever After. I think that would be fantastic. The land of far, far away. I love it. All right, let me close this here. John says, once the trailer comes out, the first trailer for this, maybe people will calm down. Or it will get worse. We'll see how it looks. I would tell them to correct some of this. You don't know how rushed this thing was. Let's see here. I close the poll. So 34% of you say it works for you. So that's good. That's the camp that I'm in. I'm fine with it. 30% need to get used to it. 28%, so it's basically, for the most part, you're divided in thirds. Some of you are totally fine with it. Then there's another third that feels you could get on board once you get used to it. Another third is bothered by it, but only 6% of you won't go. So Universal can work with those numbers. Danny, as I just said, my favorite Shrek movie is Shrek 2. I'll ask you guys what your favorite Shrek movie is. I know you like a good poll. What's your favorite Shrek movie? It's perfect because there's only been 5. Okay, there you go. Oh, thank you, Julio. That's very generous of you. By the way, anyone can vote in a poll again. You don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. Look at Shrek 2. It's so good. Holding out for a hero and the fairy godmother. And I would say Puss in Boots 2 is my next favorite of the Shrek movies. Maybe I need to rewatch Shrek 3. I don't remember. I don't remember Shrek 3 and 4 that well. I remember not loving them when they came out. Jico says, will they play this in front of Snow White? They might. That would be a great place to play it, quite frankly. All right, we'll give this a moment, then we'll move on to the Lanterns story of the day. Hold on, I'm just checking something. All right. All right, here we go. All right, 75% of you like the second, Shrek 2 the best. That's right. 20% like the first one the best, 2% 3, and 1% 4. So yes, they got considerably worse after the second movie, which I think hopefully, that's fine. I mean, but people still love Shrek. Shrek is still very, very popular. Okay, still in the theme parks to some degree. I feel very good about Shrek 5, Okay. Next up, here we go. Story number 3. Boom, baby. All right. So let me show you the first look so you can see a big version of it. So boy, DC unfortunately did not come to play today. They just could not compete with the news that came out today. Obviously, the tragic loss of Gene Hackman was something that dominated social media. And then Shrek, because it was just so much going on. It was so controversial. And also, it's just such a popular brand. And to be honest with you, I just don't think there was enough to show here. I would not have approved this as a first look. It doesn't look bad, but I think it's, I don't think it instills a lot of confidence. And I think it's just not particularly exciting. They do look good, Triple Disco. I'm still excited for this show. But, it's a very competitive marketplace these days. And I just, you can see his ring very, very small if you look. There it is. If you see, there you go. Hold on. There's his ring. There it is. You can see. But, we can't see it at least on Aaron Pierre's hand. But Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan is wearing the ring. So interesting. Thank you, Dancing Dog 60. I wish I would at least have made the ring glowing. Just something that made me feel like there'd be some VFX on this show. I'd be like, can't we get a VFX artist to just come in there and scribble a little green around his hand? Just so I can get people to go, ooh. That's what I would have preferred. I'm not sure why part of it's gold or bronze, Johnny. It seems like only the stone in the middle is green. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Look, here's the thing. James Gunn, the whole reason that James Gunn was hired is because he's such a big comic book fan. So the liberties that are being taken with some of the comic book stuff is, surprising. I think particularly because for DC, we're extremely, Marvel seems to get a little bit of a pass sometimes. But for this DC stuff, we're like, it's pretty specific. Like, we know what we want, and we want it like it was before. But okay, so all right. So there was a Vanity Fair article that came out to go along with this. And yes, the creators spoke, and that was wonderful. Just yesterday I was saying, why aren't we Gareth, you're always so supportive. I really appreciate it. So, the creators got to speak, which was really nice. So the creators spoke, and they talked a little bit about what the show is going to be like. And the thing that was the most frustrating to me was that they said that this takes place in its own part of DC, that it's not at all connected to anything else, which made me kind of feel bad because Aaron Pierre fits with David Corenswet and Robert Pattinson. And I'm like, part of me felt like, kind of, what are we doing here if absolutely nothing connects? It's one thing if Robert Pattinson's Batman doesn't connect, but if now this doesn't connect, I just feel like we're not building anything. And maybe James Gunn says that he is building towards something. I just really threw me for a loop that they said that it wasn't. I thought it was connected to David Corenswet's Superman. It says that in the Vanity Fair article. They said they're not connected to anything else in the DCU story-wise, and they're in their own space. So I thought that was really weird, and I would not have. They could have just not addressed it, which was what I would have preferred. But the creative team is very interesting to me, and I think it speaks to this photo. So Chris Mundy is the guy on the right, and he worked most recently as a producer on True Detective, the 4th season, which I liked. I mean, it was a little bit weak in the middle, but I liked the show overall. And of course, he's also responsible for Ozark after like the 1st season. And Ozark is a phenomenal show. I love Ozark. If the writing is as good as Ozark, I'll feel pretty good about it. And then Damon Lindelof jumped on for Watchmen. Watchmen is extremely, really an incredible show. So when you look at these things, it's hard for you not to have faith. Like part of you is like, I'm nervous, but then part of you is like, how could they possibly mess this up? Welcome back, Dane. And then also, I don't think he was interviewed personally, but the trio who are working on this creatively is also Tom King. And it's very exciting to see a comic book writer so heavily involved, not just as an advisor, but actually involved in the writing of the show. Tom King was supposed to do New Gods with Ava DuVernay, but that fell apart. Now he's one of James Gunn's major architects. Somebody reminded me the other day that when Kevin Feige started out, he had architects from the comic book world as well, but they've faded away. They were first advising him. And it makes you think maybe that did make a difference. Now, that's funny, Nacho Flores. Tom King is, as Wanda's attorney agrees, Tom King is very hit or miss. I'm glad he's not writing this by himself. He's also very much the same. If you've read one Tom King comic, you've kind of read all of them. But I will say I think they're very good. I read all of Tom King's comics. If Tom King writes a comic, I will pick it up. I'm not saying I'm going to enjoy it, but I pick it up anyway because I think he has interesting ideas. I think he has big ideas. And many of us have felt that they would make great TV shows. For instance, his Mr. Miracle comic would have been a great streaming series. He also did Strange Adventures, where he did a great job with Mr. Terrific. He kind of messed up Batman and Catwoman, so that's why a lot of fans are upset with him. He, of course, did the Vision comic, which is incredible, and I think they're taking a lot of the new Vision series off of it. So he's a skilled writer, particularly if you have other people watching him and being like, great idea, Tom, we'll take it from here. So I think the creative team is very good. And I think the creative team, by the way, looks like this photo. I think the creative team looks like the photo. Now, the style thing is what makes us all very nervous. Now, obviously, we were expecting to see this. In the comics, they light up like crazy because, it doesn't cost any money to do it. They just draw it. But on a show, it's a lot of money. I suspect that they will walk around most of the time in their civvies, their civilian clothing. The question is, can they sell that? Now, I think you have to have, I'm surprised, for instance, Jon Stewart's eyes aren't green. We thought for sure, they're green in the comic, they're green on the animated series. I think we all thought for sure that Aaron Pierre's eyes would be green. Like a little glowy green, or at least kind of green. They're not at all green. I mean, they're just his regular eyes. And I guess his eyes have a slight bit of green in them. But, I'm just surprised that they wouldn't do that. I thought, if the ring glowed a little and the eyes glowed a little, we'd be good to go. This would be a great first look. That's right. One of them could even had a slightly green t-shirt on. But I guess they don't want to see their enemies to see them coming. But that was just really crazy. It was just weird. So let's talk about Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Now, I saw a couple of people saying, are these guys, is Jon Stewart his sidekick? And I was like, ooh, I hope that's not the takeaway because that's not the relationship that I'm getting out of this. And it's not the relationship that's talked about in this article. So, they're supposed to be peers in the comics. But that's right, Danny. Jon Stewart is the lead. The way this is described in the Vanity Fair article is that Hal Jordan's on his way out. Hal Jordan's getting ready to retire. He is the older superhero. And he's training the new version who's going to take over the sector, the new Green Lantern sector. The Green Lanterns are like space cops, and they all have their own sectors that they patrol. And Earth is patrolled by a Green Lantern. And, it used to be Hal Jordan, and now it's going to be Jon Stewart. So, Jon Stewart's going to be new to the whole Green Lantern mythology, and the audience will learn as Jon Stewart does. That works for me, but I am worried about some of the toxicity that we see. I wonder if DC will be able to escape it. Also, Aaron Pierre is very popular right now, so that might help. And I think Aaron Pierre, with all due respect to Anthony Mackie, I think that Anthony Pierre has more main character energy. And he's just so perfectly cast as Jon Stewart. And also Jon Stewart's extremely popular in the animation and the comics. DC fans like Jon Stewart quite a bit, whereas Sam Wilson never really caught on, particularly as Captain America. So I think it's fine. I think they look like Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and it just depends which version of Green Lantern you like better. You know, some people are all in on Hal Jordan and they're disappointed that he's going to be on his way out. But to me, I'm not a huge Green Lantern fan, so I don't really, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite Green Lantern, it would be Jon Stewart. So, because I'm coming off of the animated series, the Justice League animated series. So to me, this is phenomenal. I mean, I do wish that it had more oomph because it is a comic book show. I mean, when you look at the first look at Watchmen, that was a low budget show, but yet it feels superhero-y. I think the lack of, I guess that's what it is. It doesn't feel like superhero-y. Like I see some of you saying, let me go to overall thoughts. I see some of you saying, you know, if they could just have had them with one of the lanterns, the power of the ring, you know, just something. Maybe if they'd both been standing like with this to show off the rings, you'd be like, oh, cool. You know, but I mean, there's just, it feels like True Detective. It feels like Ozark. It feels like any other show but Green Lantern. And I think like also, I think a lot of us looked at it and we were like, yeah, that's Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler. We already knew they were in the show. So it doesn't have that, you know, effect of what you're supposed to have with the first look, where you're like, ooh, you know, you're like, yeah, I knew they were in the show. That's what they look like. And that's not, okay, fine. We've already photoshopped them together. So I guess now this is an official photo of them. So, but I'm still very excited for this show. I think it's one of the best things that DC Studios has set. I'm very excited about it. I think it's extremely well put together. And I hope that it is very good. I'm excited for it. I think this and the Batman Part 2, and I'm getting excited about Superman, I think are what we're looking forward to the most. So does anybody have any questions or comments about this? Oh, I don't care, but you're less excited? Let me do a poll. I'm surprised you would be less excited. I'm not less excited. I'm just like still where I was. What is your reaction to this Lanterns first look? More excited? Same amount excited? Less excited? And then not interested to begin with. All right. By the way, again, anyone who's watching can vote in a poll. Any questions while you guys are voting? Max says the biggest problem is that it's not connected. I would agree. I just can't believe that, and I hope I hope they're just talking about how they're thinking, but not the reality of the show. Gareth says, Grace, I'm so happy to be part of the BTT family for over 4 years. I'm so happy to have you as a member for so long, Gareth. Some of you have been with me from the very beginning. And that to me means so much. And you know, Gareth, you are a wonderful, valued member of the group. So not just because of your generosity, but your comments all the time. And you know, I appreciate how active you are. Christian and Joe says, definitely less excited about hearing that the Batman is in its own space. Like, what's the point? Oh, that like the Batman, it's in its own space. Yeah, to me, I just can't. I'm assuming that they misspoke. I'm assuming that that's how Chris Mundy is internalizing it, so there's no pressure. I would be shocked if that was a directive or approved by James Gunn. Dancing Dog 60 says, when the character of Stewart was introduced in the 70s, the comics were pretty social-minded and political for its time. That's interesting. That's interesting to hear. I mean, I don't think the character has been that way for a while, but it's a great character. Ross, I don't know if Star Sapphire is going to be in it. I would suspect that she will be. I suspect that, was Kelly McDonald's in the show? I wouldn't be surprised if she was, they say she's not Carol, but I think, see, Ben 10 agrees with me. I'm pretty sure that Star Sapphire, I'm sure at very least Star Sapphire will show up. I mean, I don't understand how you could have Hal Jordan and he's older and in the later phases of his life, and you don't talk about Carol Ferris. That's right, Tribble Disco. Lindelof is amazing at social commentary, and that was one of the best aspects of Watchmen. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't like that part of the show, and that one of the things that hurt its ratings, which is a shame because it was just such a brilliant show. Better than the Watchmen movie. 80s model, I do not think this show will have lots of scenes in space. I suspect that it will have like maybe one scene in space, you know? I think you should compare it to the levels of action in House of the Dragon. And House of the Dragon's already proven, so I don't even know if you'll get that level. I think if it does really well in the ratings, they might start spending more money on it. Oh yeah, I'm sure, you're right, Danny. I think Sinestro will show up, I'm sure. But I think they'll be almost, I mean, they're investigating a murder in Nebraska. It's a very literally grounded story. Silver Scale, they're hoping for many seasons, so you're not alone there. Oh, yeah, Sinestro was cast. You're right. Yeah, so, they're going to have these characters there. Sinestro always looks like Sinestro, so I'd love to see a photo of him in the makeup. All right, let me close the poll. All right, so same amount excited, 43%. That's good. 26% of you don't care about the show at all, though, so that's not good. 16% of you are less excited, and then 13% of you are more excited. But yeah, it's just not really much of a photo. I mean, I'm excited that they're filming. That makes me very happy. Let me go back and check Ginseng. I'm very happy that they're filming, you know, and I'm glad that the project is moving forward, and I think it's very well cast, and I like everything about it. But I don't really even feel this qualifies as a first look. It just, to me, it feels more like a start of production announcement. Chandler says, I hope the show doesn't wait until the last episode for the hero antics. I think for the big hero antics it will. I think before that you'll probably have like a couple of like, look what the ring can do, and like, take me seriously, I'm not making this up. You know, like that kind of a thing. Let's see here. Notabus says, if Pattinson joins the DCU, I'm not even bothering watching the DCU. Pattinson is no DCU material. Some people are really against that merge. Rita, yeah, Aaron Pierre has a little bit of green in them, but it's more, his eyes seem more yellow to me, but he's not a member of the Sinestro Corps. Deshaun, yeah, I'm not sure why they have all these split comic book universes. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see the other comment that I missed. Ross said, I don't think you need to do anything special. Just put him in a room with a lantern. I can't go back any further. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, Bubbles. And I agree with William Lyon, as I've reported myself before. I'm almost sure they're doing Parallax. I mean, I don't want to give anything else away. But I mean, watch out for Hal Jordan, because, you know, he has turned evil in the comics, and and when he was older. So I think that's very likely. Let's see. And Dancy Dog 60 says, if the quality is as good as Interview with the Vampire, I'll be happy. Well, you know, the reason Interview with the Vampire is so good is because of the production design. You know, it's a period piece, and they take it so seriously. You know, if this is just like a lot of like, you know, if it looks like every other show, like if it looks like Breaking Bad, if it looks like True Detective, you know, if it doesn't even look, it should have its own unique look. I mean, you should be able to look at a still for the show and be like, that's Green Lantern. Or lanterns. But if you maybe that's why they took the word green out of it, and that's why they're just calling it lanterns. But I mean, it should have its own distinct visual look. You could look at Watchmen, and that had a very distinct visual look. Green Lantern's Light says it's a shame that it's not connected with the current Superman or Batman movies. I mean, again, they just said that in the Vanity Fair article. I think until James Gunn says it, I wouldn't say it's 100% true, but that was my biggest takeaway from the Vanity Fair article. And then Wanda's attorney says they're giving Sam and Bucky. I don't agree with that. But I guess it's maybe because that's the thing. I'm familiar with the Green Lantern comics. I'm not a big Green Lantern fan, but I've read them. I know the characters. So I see Hal Jordan and John Stewart. But if you don't read Green Lantern comics, then yeah, you're going to draw those other parallels. Joel says, I think Chris Mundy is confused. Gunn confirmed that the show initiates the main story of the DCU. Maybe he feels like it's not connected now, but you just said that it kicks off the DCU. So it's very confusing. Although James Gunn, of course, has the right to change his mind, which is why he should be careful about what he says, because people take it very seriously. It is confusing, Faye, and it doesn't need to be. All right, I think we could, Denzel, it doesn't have a specific release date, but they are aiming for early 2026, which was when The Last of Us came out, I think in 2023, and I think that's fantastic. That's very exciting. Yeah, Q&A time, Oasis. Hold on, let me get the Q&A. All right, 10 minutes until 4:18, and then I must go. CM says, should Dune 3 be postponed till 2027 or later, considering the time jump in plot? Zendaya's 2026? Well, they haven't decided when they're going to start filming it, and it seems like Zendaya is pretty booked, so they might have to move Dune. Brandon says, with how popular Euphoria has become, would you reconsider covering season 3? I don't know how popular it is on YouTube. I think it's very popular on TikTok and social media, but I'm not sure how popular it is in the YouTube space, which is where I operate. Reese, they're not giving us the rest of the Severance screeners all at once, but I do get to see the episodes a couple of days in advance. Ober says, hi, Grace, do you think it is true that Zendaya's character is trans because... I don't know what you're talking about there, Aubert. You know, I mean, that's an interesting theory, but I haven't heard anything about that until you just brought it up. And then, do you think Heartstopper is going to be canceled? It's on the line, from what I've heard. It's like on the line. Netflix isn't quite sure what to do with it. I think the actors seem to be ready to move on from some of the interviews they've given. So I would guess probably yes. But we'll see what happens. Juan says, glad to be here for so long now. Remember back in the day, you also had a BTD Disney channel. That's right. That's right. But now I just cover Disney stuff here. Apricot Warrior says, hey, Grace. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. That's very sweet. Thank you. And then you're saying Josh Houston for Nightwing. I'll take a look and see what he looks like. Sahib says, hey, Grace, I want to tell you my birthday was on February 21st, and I watched Captain America. I want to let you know about TVA issue number 3 and the reveal that MCU Wanda is alive and being held by... I've seen this story. I would be really surprised if this whole setup for Wanda's future was revealed in a comic book that nobody's reading. I'd be real surprised. I hope it's not the case. Ben says, Grace, did you see Rachel Zegler posted a bunch of Snow White posters with Gal Gadot's image edited out? Did she really? I mean, that would be shocking to me. I can't say that she did or not. I haven't seen it, but that seems... Are you sure they weren't just her own personal posters, maybe? I mean, I don't know how... She has to do a press tour with Gal Gadot. Carter, I haven't seen I'm Still Here yet. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, hey, Jesus, I couldn't pick a top 3 SNL sketches of all time. I think they're really... I think they're back on their game. I'm enjoying SNL. James says, do you think that Mando and Grogu's new trailer might play in front of the Revenge of the Sith anniversary release? I'm not sure when I don't know about any specific trailers, but I did hear there would be trailers at Star Wars Celebration, and that's the next movie, so I think that's a safe bet, but I can't confirm or deny if that's going to happen or not. Danny says, hi, Grace, celebrating my new Ruby badge. Looks great. If you were to play Marvel Rivals, who would your character be? Oh, they got to get Emma Frost in there so I can play as Emma Frost, my favorite character. I like her a lot. Kimmy, I'm glad you got a membership. Lloyd, when should we get the next Fantastic Four trailer? I would suspect to come out in front of Thunderbolts, if I had to guess. Lucas says Rachel post in front of a moving poster with shots where she was featured. Gal was not edited out. See, there's no way she would do that. I mean, that's just so unprofessional. Alex, I am excited for the Oscars this Sunday. We have a couple of categories where it's not super obvious who's going to win, and I think that's exciting. Carter, I have to work on new badges. I have to do it. I got to work on it. I'm going to work on it soon. Just Blaze Disney, I'm not sure why there hasn't been a Lilo and Stitch trailer. I would expect it would be in front of Snow White, though. So it's coming up soon. Oasis, I'm not sure when we're getting a Last of Us trailer. I mean, the show is coming up very fast. So I think they've given us a couple of things already. A teaser and a release date little look. I don't think they want to give too much away. You got the popcorn bucket for the monkey, Blair? Oh, you're braver than me. Does it have a key you can turn? Don't turn it. Oh, let's see here. Lloyd, I'm excited about the He-Man movie as well. I think it looks good. Trace, I haven't heard anything about a Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. I was trying to find out. I didn't find anything about it. But we'll see. It should be coming very soon. They've already released the poster. Faye says, do you think Wicked for Good will make $1 billion? I need to see the trailer. I need to hear the songs. I need to see it for myself. It's hard to tell in advance, but I think it'll certainly do around the first movie. It doesn't need to make $1 billion. Let's see here. Questionable Burrito says, what's your favorite chain restaurant? I am partial to McDonald's. The only fast food I eat are McDonald's and Taco Bell. And Panera Bread, if that counts. Very delicious. Carter says, if James Gunn worked on a Teen Titans movie, is James Gunn working on a Teen Titans movie? He is, but he's not making it himself. He's hired the writer on Supergirl, who's a big Titans fan, apparently. Garnet Fire says, could Hawk Girl show up in the Lanterns show? I don't know. I don't think Isabella Merced is like the Hawk Girl I want to see with Aaron Pierre. I want it to be just like the animated series. I'm very particular on it. I want it to look just like that. Apricot Warrior says, will the Donkey spin-off work? Well, I think they're going to see how Shrek 5 does. I'm sure, by the way, everybody's getting paid a lot of money. What's for my dinner this evening, Danny? I'm very excited about my dinner, actually. I'm going to try and cook something very interesting. I have whole wheat bread for toast. Then I'm going to put a fried egg on it and some smoked salmon, and then make myself a salad of mixed greens on the side. I'm very excited about my dinner. I made myself a crab cake salad the other day with avocado and crab cake and mixed greens. I'm trying to eat more greens. And that was a good warm salad. And then I know a place that does a really good like Mexican salad, and it tastes as good as junk food. It's very good. It is very French, Lloyd, except for the whole wheat bread. The French, they like sourdough and stuff like that. Let's see. I'm glad you guys like my dinner plans. I'm excited for let's see how it turns out. I'm not aiming too high. I'm really going for presentation. Yeah, I'm trying to get back on the Mediterranean diet. It's hard to stay on that during the holidays. And salmon is a key ingredient. Ben, that A24 Death of a Unicorn looks interesting. I'm curious to see how it performs at the box office. That's right, Way Harris. It's been very warm the past few days on the East Coast. It's pretty special. Reese, I saw that John Bernthal arrived in Morocco, but I didn't know Tom Holland was there. I think it's funny that Christopher Nolan always wears the same thing no matter where he is. He's like, this is my Morocco outfit. It's the same as my cold England outfit. Maybe it's cold in Morocco right now. I'm like, how is he wearing a men's winter coat? Yeah, Lloyd, Anora's pretty out there, but I really do believe it's between Anora and Conclave on Sunday. We'll see who wins Best Picture. Freddie, I can't predict Supergirl box office again because I haven't seen it. I have to see what it looks like. Oh, one more minute. Benjamin Fregoso, I'm not sure if Megan 2 will be a big hit. I need to see the other doll that she's going to fight. Notibus says, did you see the TVA comics, officially MCU canon, and the show? Oh, yeah, somebody mentioned that, and I said that those comics suck and no one's reading them. And you guys were like, oh, but it's true. Yes, Juan Gabriel, I will cover Daredevil weekly. Noel says, any recommendations for a TV show with great action choreography? Oh, that's a hard one. Oh, Ben, you're getting a new dishwasher? I like that you say that's adulting. Yeah, you're like, oh, a new dishwasher. I hope you had a good time purchasing it, getting it. Let's see here. A TV show with great action. That's hard. I'm not sure. Action's expensive. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Oh, Batmad says Reacher has good fights. Diego, I am watching Paradise on Hulu, and they gave me the final episode in advance, and I'm like, should I watch it early, or should I save my Tuesday combo of Paradise and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which is makes my Tuesdays amazing. Devin, that was just a teaser for Minecraft, right? I think tickets went on sale. Oh, it's over my time. I gotta go. Let me give shout outs. Where are you? What are you doing? Let me say hi really quickly, and then I gotta go. Have a great day, Choose the Bear. Enjoy your Honey Nut Cheerios, the best Cheerios. Reese is in London town. Bye, E.B. the Blue. Danny's in Guatemala. Rosha is in Sydney. Bye, Twinkle. Silver Scale smells spring in San Diego. I love it. Hey, Batman in LA. Alberto in San Antonio, Texas, going to the gym. Garnet Fire's enjoying the heat wave in South Dakota. Have a good time. Oh, Elia, that's wonderful. You're coaching some youth basketball. That's very sweet of you. Sahib is in Bakersfield. Way Harris is in Massachusetts. Liam, oh, I have not seen Bridget Jones, but thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you squeak. I'm sorry. Trace in Kansas City. Jane, oh, it's nice to see you again. Astronomy in Dallas, Texas. Oasis is revising a psychology exam. Revising for a psychology exam. Break a leg. And Tony says it's raining in Philly, and you reminded me that I need to catch up on Beverly Hills. What a great rainy day activity. And Mystic says enjoying the midnight rain with this lovely stream. Aw, that's lovely. You paint a nice picture. All right, I gotta go. Thank you so much for joining me. Videos tomorrow, and also, of course, Movie Math on Sunday. See you soon. Bye. Bye-bye.